Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Jon Purdy from CDK Global is with us, a great friend of the industry, long time automotive expert, and we travel in a lot of the same circles. Great honor to welcome you here, Jon. Welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and to get to share, this message about helping people grow their teams today. And I know it's a great conversation. I'm looking forward to having it.
I am as well. I think it's so relevant right now, Jon. There's leadership. There's a lot of voids in leadership in our industry, and we've seen a lot in our time, and excited to share this time with you.
Absolutely.
All right, so I know you are considered an expert on leadership in our industry, and Jon, you've worked with leaders all around the world. What are some of the biggest gaps that you see in leadership? And if you could relate maybe some of that over to the fixed ops side, if possible.
Sure. I mean, that's a great question, Ted. There's the obvious ones, right? We're all too busy. We're all stretched too thin. Lean organizations ask us to do more with less. It's hard to find good people, especially technicians, right? The customer expectations keep rising over and over and over again, while margins keep shrinking no matter what we do, it seems like. And quite frankly, especially in fixed ops, no matter how hard we try and fight it, complexity just keeps creeping through our processes. And I could go on and on all day long. And I know that those sound like, you just asked me, like, what's the issue? And I know that probably sounds like I'm talking symptoms, but actually, I think those are really indicators more than market conditions, right? They help point us towards some of the leadership gaps in our industry. The truth is, there's some of the challenges that fixed op leaders face every day, and those challenges kind of expose those underlying gaps. They kind of feed each other, and we're obviously not going to solve all those today, but I do know where to start.
Well, it's been said that we are in a people business. You got to love people to be in our business. I imagine this starts with the people.
Of course it does, right? At its most basic, Ted, leadership is influence, right? Leadership is influence. And so what's influence? It's the ability to get people to do that which they otherwise would not or could not do without you, right? So if Ryan can average $400 per RO with your help and $400 without you, are you really necessary to Ryan's success?
No value seen there. No.
Right. Now, if he can only do $400 without you and $500 with you, now are you necessary?
I'm worth $100 more.
Exactly. Right. And that's influence. Your influence on Ryan helps him be a more profitable service advisor. And the thing about influence is it's earned day by day by how we lead, by how we coach, and most importantly, by how much we care.
All right. So for our viewers, Jon, watching us here today, where do we start?
I mean, we can make it complex. I like simplicity. The license plate of my car is literally be simple. Ted, I think it starts with how employees spell love. I know you've heard this one before.
It's spelled time, Time.
That's exactly right. You've heard the saying, show me how you spend your time, and I'll tell you what you value most.
Yeah.
If we want our people to feel valued, we have to spend quality time with them. And the most basic way we can do that is to give them our time by ensuring we do regular one-on-ones. Now, I'd love to share a simple one-on-one technique with our friends today that's worked well for more than 30 years. It's called the Take 10 technique.
And Jon, time is the most valuable asset that any of us will ever have. So tell us about Take 10.
Well, you start by setting aside 10 minutes a week with each of your direct reports. Not 5, not 30, just start with 10. Now, I would love to block this in the calendar and never let it move, be a fixed thing that anchors our week. I'd also know that we work in the customer service business, right? And so we're going to have to be flexible about exactly when we meet. The time slot is a lot less important than the regularity. You can move it, just don't skip it. Okay, so we have our 10 minutes. Now we pick a neutral place. Not your office, not their workspace, someplace neutral. If you're a coffee drinker, go grab a cup of coffee together. If you're a walker, go for a lap around the dealership. The key is to find a space that is ours, not mine, not yours, ours.
Okay, so neutral space. I'm with you so far. 10 minutes, a safe space. Don't skip it. And John, what do we? Where do we start the conversation? What do we talk about?
I think you can do it in just 3 questions. The first one is, how are you doing?
That's simple.
Yeah, I know. It's deceptively simple, right?
Mm.
See, it's not the words that matter. It's how you ask the question. This can't feel like the millions of times you've passed someone in the hallway and you've said or they've said, how you doing? And neither of you actually care about the answer, right? This only works when they can feel that you mean those words, right? Ted, how are you doing?
Mhm.
Now, at first you might get, oh, I'm fine, right? And if so, that's fine. That's the end of the conversation. Seriously, that's it. That's because at this point, they're not ready to open up to you. So ask it again next week and the week after that and the week after that, and keep and asking it over and over again until you finally get an honest answer. That's only ever going to happen when they hear and feel that you mean it, that you really, truly care. Ted, it's only after they're willing to open up to you to tell you they're having a great day or a horrible week, or to tell you that they're frustrated or they're excited or they're scared or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's only after they feel comfortable that you can do what?
Most important word in service is trust. Earn their trust.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
We have to have the trust of our customers. We all know this, right?
yeah.
But we have to have the trust of our people too, because trust leads to influence. They have to learn that they can trust us with whatever's on their mind.
Mhm.
That leads to honest conversations about performance, and trust that your coaching will help them improve it or fix the problem or put out a fire. It doesn't matter. It all starts with trust. All right. So, how are you doing and mean it? Now, the second question is, how is the team doing? Which I know doesn't feel like something you might ask in a one on one. I mean, it's one on one, right? But this second question is looking for two particular things. It's looking for either process issues or personnel problems. So, if I ask how the team is doing and Ryan responds, I think most of us are probably okay, but the technicians are pretty frustrated about that new parts process we launched last month. Well, now you've been turned on to something you can go fix. Or maybe it's not broken, right? It's just a perception issue. And now you know you need to go spend some time helping them adapt to that change. No matter what, though, I've uncovered a process issue and I've got work to do. But if I ask how's the team doing and Ryan says, well, pretty good, but have you talked to Bill lately?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know he probably wouldn't say anything to you, but I think he's hurting, boss. You should go talk to him.
Hmm.
So now we've uncovered a people problem. Now, by the way, please don't start the conversation with Bill by saying, well, I talked to Ryan and he said, right?
But in doing this, isn't Ryan breaking Bill's trust?
I don't, I don't think so. If we've established the relationships like we should, what's really happening is that Ryan is acting like an early warning radar, right? I might have eventually figured out that Bill's in trouble. But if Ryan and Bill have a great relationship because they're peers or friends or fishing buddies or whatever, and Ryan points me in the right direction before I would have otherwise picked up on it, then I now have an opportunity to get involved earlier. If it's personal, I'll just be a friend. Remember, this is about building trust. If it's performance related, though, now I can use that influence to help right now before this becomes a bigger problem. Smoke, easy to put out. 400,000 acre fire, a whole lot harder.
All right. So I see it. You've built a relationship strong enough with Ryan that he feels he can share things with you, knowing he can trust you because you're going to do the right thing. Okay. And maybe you've built a relationship with Bill that would allow him to do the same for Ryan or someone else. It comes back to that word influence that you mentioned.
Influence.
And you said there were 3 questions.
Yeah. Actually, Ted, if you don't mind, I've noticed something while listening to you doing these roundtables over the years, and I've always enjoyed these, by the way. And I think I've found something that might be helpful, maybe even help your listeners get just a bit more out of these incredible sessions. And I'd like to share that with you.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sure.
Actually, that's the third question. Sorry. Sorry. You see, if you want to make sure the person you're talking to and you're trying to coach absolutely does not listen to you, then start the question like this. Hey, can I show you where you're terrible? Right? That's going to shut them down in a hurry. The key to asking that third question isn't the buildup, where I talked about helping your listeners get more out of your sessions. It's the last five characters, right? It's the comma, the space, the O, the K, and the question mark. You see, when you phrase it that way and you end with a pause at the end, when they respond yes, as they nearly always do, what are we getting?
Yeah, it's a permission based technique. Yes.
That's exactly right. It's a
Yeah.
permission based coaching.
Mhm.
And you've got them wanting to be coached now, to want you to share what you know, to
Yeah.
want to be helped. It's always easier to help somebody when they want it.
I want to be helped.
And obviously, you need to have something to talk about, right? You have to have something that you're here to coach. So be sure to have prepared something before you sit down or take that lap around the dealership with them. You should know what they need as a tuned in leader that's paying attention to their performance and their interactions with customers and their interactions with each other. You've got in mind what they need next. And now they know they need something. So coach them. But coach them with confidence. Coach them because you care about them. Have a plan, a desired outcome, and coach them to success. And the nice thing is, the more you do this, the easier it is.
So, John, that sounds like a very solid, a very good foundation for the one-on-ones, especially for folks who haven't done them or haven't done them in a while, in a long time. What about some more advanced advice for leaders who are already doing things like one-on-ones?
I'm glad you asked. And I hope you don't mind the selfless plug here. We have an entire series on professional one on ones in CDK University, which, as you
Really?
know, is free for every retailer who uses any CDK product.
Wow.
Let me share the central core of that series, though, at a high level so that even the folks that don't have access to this at least know what it is. So, to me, professional one on ones should always have four critical elements, right? Relationship building, listening to hear, professional development. Sorry about that. I have those animations turned on. I should have turned that off before we did this. Professional development and focused outcome, right? So relationship building, listening to hear, professional development, and focused outcomes. Let's start with the most critical piece, right? Which is building relationships. I will be more secure as a teammate when I have a strong relationship with my leader. That's kind of what people feel, right? Now, we've just spent the last few minutes talking about how important it is to build trust. So I want to take it just a little bit further. There's an old saying in the influence business: no one will care how much you know until they know how much you care. So the true secret to building work relationships is really no different than building a personal relationship, except the stakes may be higher for both of you, right? So here's two things to remember. First, be intentional. When I'm trying to build a relationship with someone, I need to be intentional about that. I need to be engaged. I need to be listening. I need to ask questions that are organic and make sense. Right. I need to be learning things that are important about what motivates them, what they care about, what their goals are, what their fears are. It's a relationship like I would in any other world, except at work, I need to be intentional about understanding sort of what that person is here for, what's important to them. And it's not all the same, especially in 2025, right?
Sure.
You and I started in the business a million years ago. And back then, it was really easy to influence folks. You just put more money on it. Today, they want time off. They want recognition. They want career advancement. They want a lot more than just a bigger, fatter paycheck, although that still motivates a lot of folks. The second thing we need to remember is to be sincere. I know all of us at some point have been around someone who uh, was insincere, right? They were there, but they were there for the wrong reason. They asked a question, they didn't care about the answer, or they were delivering a line they delivered 1,000 times before, hoping that you would bite on it the same as the last fish that got on that hook.
Yeah.
People can see through that in a heartbeat. The easiest way to turn someone off is to be phony and fake. The easiest way to build a relationship is to just be sincere, be yourself, right?
Yes.
No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
So, John, the first time I heard that saying, I was a young retail salesperson selling Fords in New Jersey, and we went to a seminar that day, and
Hmm.
there was a fellow named Jackie B. Cooper, okay?
Yep.
And Jackie made that saying famous, at least for that era that I lived
Yeah.
in. There's an old saying, okay, that no one will care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's so true today.
Yeah, I didn't start quite that long ago. I got it from a guy who probably got it from Jackie B. Cooper, and it gets passed down, and
I
hopefully
think Jackie got it from somebody too. So
I'm sure exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was an old ancient Roman saying, I'm sure. And our job, of course, as leaders, is to continue to pass that down and have it get passed forward to the generation after that. Right now, this next one's tough, especially when we're busy, which in fixed ops is all the time. The next one is listening to hear. And listening to hear is an intentional choice we have to make every single day, Ted. We're surrounded by distractions and we're bombarded with people and things that urgently need our attention. Everything's a quadrant one, if you're a Stephen Covey fan. Everything's a quadrant one, urgent and important need, right? We live in a world where we have to mode switch and shift focus by the second. That's just the reality of working in fixed ops in 2025, but not in one on ones. Listening to hear means we must focus on the associate for those precious few minutes. No multitasking. Let the phone ring.
yeah,
Let the alert ping. Let the text messages pile up on your phone unread. Honestly, this is no different than being in front of a customer or your boss, right?
yep.
Each should get your full attention, and so should your people. Now, we also have to guard ourselves against this concept called already, always listening. Already, always listening. It was a concept coined by a guy named Werner Erhard, who refers to the way that we tend to listen to others through filters of our own preconceived notions and past experiences and existing beliefs, instead of listening to what's being said in the present moment. In short, listening to hear means that we have to put those filters aside, even if we think we've heard this 1,000 times before. There's a ton of content out there, Ted, on all of this, especially the always listening thing. I think it's worth time if one of our listeners wants to go investigate that, spend the hour it takes to go read about that or watch a few videos. It's a pretty interesting concept, and we all do it, and we can't do it in one-on-ones. You have to be present in the moment. The more we allow ourselves to be in that moment, to be present, and to truly listen, the more influence we have, right? People want to be heard, and they'll tell us how to lead them if we just listen.
I'm sorry. What did you say, John? Just kidding.
I love it. I love it.
But it's the most valuable asset. I mentioned it earlier, that time and the ability to take the time to listen. And you're right. We got to tune the world out, all the distractions, all the cell phone pings, all the notifications off to the side.
Yeah, for sure. Now, this next one's really dear to my heart. I think that great one-on-ones, truly great one-on-ones, should also have some time set aside for personal development, right? And this is not about what they can do for you or how they can help you hit your goal this month. This is about their personal, professional growth. As a leader, it's one of our primary responsibilities to grow our people. We have a saying in the learning services division at CDK. We believe you grow your business by growing your people, right? When you've got the best person in each position, you've got the best team, and great teams win championships. That means we have to invest time in developing them. Both their immediate, like right now, we got to fix this because it's a code red need, and also their long-term growth goals, right? So here's a couple of tips on how we can do that. First, always have a plan. A few minutes, Ted, thinking strategically about what they need, and then tactically about how you're going to help them get it. It also needs to fit into your larger long-term growth plan. Everyone who works for you should have a long-term plan that you both agree on. That takes time to develop, that's fine. But that focuses on developing those long-term skills and abilities to take them where they want to go. Number 3, regular coaching. Constant encouragement, skill development, role play, stretching beyond their comfort zone. I once read getting off the elevator one time, going to work out on a trip one day. Um, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Yeah.
And the last is upskilling, right? And I think we start with the low hanging fruit. What's the biggest thing holding your person back? Fix that first. And then the next, and the one after that, and the one after that, and just keep helping them improve their skills until they're bulletproof. Can you imagine what it would be like to have a team of people that were bulletproof? Even if it took you 3 or 5 years to build that team. I mean, as we say down here in the South, honey hush, right?
Hardest thing in life is getting started, John, and start with the low hanging fruit. I agree.
Yep, for sure. And the last one of the four is, I think every great one-on-one has to spend some time on outcomes. Now, the good news is this is every coach's favorite, right? Because they think it's about getting things done. And there's some truth there. I think, though, the most important thing about outcomes is that they have to be clearly defined, right? Clearly defined, which I know seems simple. And yet I actually see this, Ted, as the number one miss with most leaders.
Well,
Just because it's clear in our minds of what we need to accomplish doesn't mean it's clear in theirs. So I recommend using precise language and get confirmation that they actually understand exactly what's expected of them. Because without a clearly defined outcome, there can be no success.
mhm.
And then gain agreement on that outcome and the path to get there. Some folks we're going to have every single step laid out for because that's exactly what they need. Fine. Some folks are, you know what, just point me in the right direction and I got this. And they'll figure it out. They'll use their creativity and their passion to get that result. As leaders, obviously, our job is to know our people and to be sure to give them exactly what they need to achieve. So that includes clear expectations and timelines, right? Not only what I need to get done, also when I expect it to be done by, right? The better we do that part, the easier it is for the associate to get things done and the easier it is for us to hold them accountable. And speaking of accountability, if I can have just a couple more seconds, if needed, get agreement on the consequences of failure, right?
Mhm.
Now, not everybody needs this. That little voice inside you that says, this is the person I need to have that conversation with, they clearly have that conversation. You know who they are, right? When it's appropriate, not just what we want or what we need or what we've agreed to get done, and not just when it's going to happen, but even the consequences of what happens if it doesn't happen. I've had a lot of success over the years using just a ridiculously simple question. Ted, if this doesn't happen by X, doesn't happen by Tuesday, how should I interpret that?
Yeah. Wow, I would imagine that would cause some people to really think.
You can see some folks squirm, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's exactly the mindset we need them to think about, right? That begins to chip away at that, I hate to say it, but that victim mindset, right?
Yeah.
It starts to change their thinking into leadership mindset. If I know there's a consequence for that action and I start thinking about how you might be thinking about that consequence, it changes the way I'm thinking about this. Gosh, if I don't do this, then my boss is going to feel the same way I would feel if someone didn't do it for me, which is I don't care. And maybe that's not a good thing for my career, right? Or that I'm not willing to put the effort in, or I keep asking for a promotion, whatever that is, right? When they can start to connect those dots themselves, they start thinking like a leader long before we're asking them to take that next step in their personal growth and become a leader, right? Change the mindset to leadership mindset by what we need, a clear timeline, and when it's appropriate, the consequences if it doesn't happen.
That's a lot of great stuff, Jon Purdy. Thank
Thank you.
you. Any final thoughts as we wrap up?
Yeah, if I can have just a couple of extra moments, I want to add just two like technical details. Something I like to call the blend. I'll explain that in a second.
Uh-huh.
And follow up. So I talked about four elements, right? In a perfect world, you'd spend exactly 25% on each, and it would be like this perfectly balanced, encapsulated one-on-one. Great. But in the real world, sometimes we need to spend the entire time building relationships, or they've got something they need to get off their minds, and we just need to listen. Or it's crunch time, it's the end of the month, and we have to focus on the outcomes we need in the next 48 hours. That's okay. Follow your gut and allow these one-on-ones to organically be what they need to be in the moment. The long-term key, though, is to try your best to have a blend of all four of those elements in every one-on-one, or at least as many as you possibly can. Remember, Ted?
Yep.
Building relationships, listening to hear, professional development, and focused outcomes. And here's a great technique for follow-up. Now, I happen to lead a fully remote team. So when we do our virtual one-on-ones, we capture our notes either in OneNote or Loop. or whatever collaborative tool your folks may have access to. For those of us who are blessed to have the meetings in person, like I'm sure a lot of our retailers, there's an even easier way. And I've done this for a million years. Establish a habit where at the end of the one-on-one, each of your team members sends you a brief meeting recap, right? By email, by the end of the day, right? When they have to recap what we talked about in an email to you by the end of the day, a couple of things happen. The first thing is they have to think about it, right? Like, what did we actually talk about today? The second thing is they are now documenting the tasks or the outcomes or the expectations. They're kind of making a checklist or a punch list of what gets to be done or needs to be done. You also end up with a record of that meeting that you can reference later if you need to. Remember, we talked a couple of weeks ago about you getting this thing done. Well, here it is and what happened, right? But I think that maybe the most important part, Ted, is when they send you that recap, you get to see how they interpreted what you discussed. And if it's radically different than what your perception was, you know now, instead of being surprised later on. I really want to thank you for the opportunity to share this with your audience. This is really, truly important stuff, right? Our people depend on us. They trust us with their livelihoods. I never want us to forget that. That service advisor, that technician, that parts person, the driver, whoever it is, the cashier, all of these folks have put their livelihoods into our hands, right? And so we owe them being really good at this. For our CDK listeners, I would highly encourage you to go to CDK University, go to the very bottom of the homepage, and you'll find the Leadership Development Catalog, and you'll find everything we've talked about today and a whole lot more. The resources are out there. It's up to us to invest in ourselves so we can invest in our folks.
Jon Purdy, thank you so much for our audience watching today. CDK Global, CDK University. If you have CDK products, which most of us do, the Leadership Development Catalog at the bottom of the home screen in CDK University will take you where you can find this content and so much more. Jon, on behalf of the Roundtable, thank you for all you do.
Ted, thank you. Honored to be here.
Jon Purdy, everybody, from CDK Global, here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.